Going back to the call. So then he goes back to the call again. When Trump said cash, he's not talking about Benjamins and green dollar bills. He's talking about paying for something, not financing, right? No, sir. When you worked for him, very often, would he purchase things with cash? Correct. He would purchase buildings with cash? I don't know what you're referring to, sir. Were there times he purchased properties in cash? Yes, sir. And according to our folks there, Trump is paying close attention to this particular testimony. His chair is turned. He's facing directly toward Michael Cohen and the jury. But remember, we actually think, and if you've seen a map of you can actually talk about it. It can be tough, Katie, for Cohen to see Trump for his vantage point, which may seem weird to people when they see
it's just the way the court is laid out. I think the way that he's sitting in the box and where specifically Donald Trump is seated. It was hard for me to see Donald Trump in the courtroom because there's also so many security guards and court officers there that they're blocking him. There's the Trump and Michael Cohen. Everybody's up on a monitor, a few monitors around the courthouse, but they're so high up and they're so far away. It's hard to see any detail. So it is reasonable that Michael Cohen can't actually see him. But when I was in there, I noticed he wasn't really even looking in that direction. He was looking directly at Blanche, who was right in front of him. Maybe he stole a glance toward his attorney, and occasionally he would look toward the jury box. I didn't see him looking even toward the side of the room that Donald Trump is sitting.
But it is interesting that at the moment he's talking about how he conducted his business, he seems to look right at Michael Cohen and be engaged.
And the context here is what just preceded it was at the time they were concerned, he was concerned, he draws this out of him, that David Pecker would become the CEO of Time magazine and that this box with all their secrets would be left to someone they did not know taking over AMI. And so that's the business of, Trump's saying, that he could get hit by a bus.
What's the point of all this, Catherine?
Well, they seem to be getting somewhere with.
So it can be hard to follow, certainly for us right now, reading this document, which is obviously very limiting. But I have to say it was kind of hard to follow when Blanche would go on these tangents or these long explainers, wind-ups, when you're in the courtroom. How risky is it?
Well, this is all about whether Donald Trump used cash.
It's risky. If he then drops it and moves on, the jury's like, what was that about?
But Trump using cash, is this an argument saying that why would Trump not pay Stormy Daniels off with cash? Is that what you're getting at, Andrea?
Well, he didn't pay. Remember the conversation was recorded about the cash to Karen McDougal, and Cohen at that time on the tape said, no, no, no.
Well, here's what Todd Blanche said. When you say he is very rich and pays all cash, you are not saying you go to the bank with all cash. Is it financed? He's not talking about green, so he's asking that question again. Cohen, he said you need to do it by check. This was already into testimony that what he said was that on that phone call, Trump said cash, and he said no, 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 by check. And what we know now, at least if you believe Michael Cohen's testimony, was that he wanted to make this look legit. So if there were a series of checks that were cut back to him, then it would look like he was being paid for services rendered, not being paid for being reimbursed for hush money.
The defense's problem is you have 11 checks that Donald Trump wrote to Michael Cohen, and all common sense is that man did not do legal work for Donald Trump. He testified to it. It's clear he wasn't. I mean, you could be an unethical lawyer and do legal work. So how they overcome those the 34 accounts, and 11 of them were Donald Trump's Sharpie signature.
I imagine the prosecution's going to come back to Exhibit 35 and 36. And I've mentioned this a few times now, the bank statements with Alan Weisselberg's own handwriting on it. And you might be poking holes in Michael Cohen. You might be saying he's not trustworthy. But how do you impeach those two documents?
Harder, because, first of all, it's hard to impeach a document. And second, with Mr. Weisselberg's written directions on the document.
And the one that says grossed up, which explains why he's paying him more than the $130,000.
From a legal perspective, how much do these two documents prove? How far do they go?
I don't know that any single document proves the case. You have to look at them, Katie, in their totality. So when you see the invoices, the checks, the ledger entries, right, and couple that with the testimony of the various people who handled these documents, I think they well tell the story. Now, they don't tell you that Mr. Trump, in and of themselves, they don't tell you that Mr. Trump ordered this or knew of it. That's where you need Michael Cohen.